Welcome back, everybody, to the VGVN number 2. We're getting ready for our next series, which is Thijs versus Amaz, and that'll finish up the group in terms of the play with the 3 players who have been invited. Haibara is the open qualified player, and he'll finish out the rest of the day with his 3 series against the rest of these guys. A very vital series for Thijs, because if he wins, and if he wins 3-2, we're all of a sudden in a 3-way tie, and Haibara is the big wild card to figure out how the rest of this series or group plays out. I'm here alongside of casting me with the action is Marcin Nims Filipovic. How you been doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. We've seen some cool control matchups, a lot of good games, a lot of good decisions for those top players, and I'm definitely hyped for a 3-way tie and a Haibara being the wild card, because this is a very cool format, the round robin. It's all the players, they have the chance till the last match. Sometimes their place is not even decided by their actions, but mostly by the actions of other players. So instead of just, losing one game and dropping out of the tournament, or losing 2 matches and dropping out, they still have a chance. They still play all those games, and we are able to watch them and cast them, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, it'd be okay. So there is a possible 3-way tie, and people might be confused about how it works in round robin. Say Thijs 3-2's Amaz here, and all of a sudden everyone's 5-5 score with 1-1. And then Haibara comes and completely destroys everybody 3-0 all the way across. Then we have Haibara in first place, and the rest of the guys unanimously are tied at 5 games and 8 losses. Then we'll have like a tiebreaker series to kind of determine everything. But that's only in the scenario where it's tied. And most likely the game score will be the ones that shows who's going to be in second place if this is the case. So it's an important series for Thijs to win. For that very reason, you want to stay relevant and in the tournament. Let's go into the ban screens and find out what these guys have prepared for the series. Most likely it's going to be Hunter bans, which has been very popular since Nax Rams has been full out. And it is. Amaz is going to take away Thijs' Warrior, and Amaz won't be allowed to be played Warrior himself. The series is going to start off with Warrior versus Priest, a matchup that Amaz has told me that he likes a lot, but the more I play it, the more I feel like Warrior still feels in the dominant position, unless there's like major thought steals that goes Amaz's way.
Yeah, I agree with that statement as well. It seems like Warrior has a lot of tools, and till now, Amaz was being able to win this matchup because of thought steal. Like a lucky thought steal, getting key cards and being able to turn around the situation. But looking at that Warrior with Kern being the first card I actually look at, and a lot of good cards like Elfazad and the mid game cards, he should be able to squeeze in all the like early damage and then be able to stabilize around turn 5 and 6. And on the other hand, Amaz has actually Harrison Jones, which is a pretty important card. If he's able to hit that Death's Bite and trigger Whirlwind on his terms, draw a card out of it, that might be a key card. He also has a lot of mid-game cards which are important. If you are able to snowball with Lothep and actually deny a brawl from your opponent, you might win the game next turn. So definitely hyped to see the game and how it will unfold.
All right. Wait, well, game number 1.
There's no Ragnaros. Oh my god.
Oh, in the Priest deck.
Yes.
Huh. Maybe the deck just got cut off, and we don't know. How can Amaz play Priest without Ragnaros? That just sounds like, I don't know. He just probably have a disagreement, an argument, and maybe they're just not talking to each other. Who knows? Game number 1 is about to begin, by the way. So let's jump into the board and find out if Amaz can do this against the Warrior. Can he do it without his trusty man Ragnaros? I don't understand why he would take it out, considering how well it was performed in the past, but maybe he finally understands Ragnaros can't always be relied upon.
Certainly, and he starts with a coin. He's adjusting options. Is he going to change the card back? No, he's saved the card back. He has a Naxxramas Heroic card back, by the way, for a prize for defeating all the Naxxramas bosses on Heroic mode. Opening hand is pretty cool. He has the coin, he has Injured Blade Master, he has Circle of Healing. So a pretty nice start. He actually mulliganed Injured Blade Master, even though he has only 1. So I guess this is not the card he won against Warrior, which can be easily executed. On the other hand, the Thijs, well, he has the Belcher, he has the Senjin, he doesn't have Armsmith or the early drops. So he will be starting his game from turn 4. Double execute. That might be helpful.
That'll be very helpful, especially if Injured Blade Master or something like that comes out. It's one of your answers to these early game threats. Now, one of the problems, though, with Execute is you need a way to actually use it with another damage-dealing minion or spell. So Thijs is still kind of sitting duck here. And this Death Lord will do damage unless he picks up something like Slam or Whirlwind.
That Death Lord, by the way, is so dangerous. I'm surprised that Amaz actually mulligan injured Blade Master and prioritized Death Lord, because playing it against the Warrior, I would be really scared.
He's not. He's just not afraid because he has removal options for late games minions. But then, you know, if you drag out Ragnaros and then you're just taking damage and you don't have Shadow Word Death, well, you know what? He's got Shadow Word Death, so I think he's okay with anything getting dragged out now.
Well, what if you get an Ysera being a priest? Ysera till 4 is pretty good.
You're right.
And now with double Death Lord. The thing is also that Thijs actually got 2 of his big minions, Alexstrasza and Grommash.
Check out the Thought Steal, by the way. He got Shield Slam and Fiery War Axe. Those are 2 of the most useless cards to him in the grand scheme of things.
Well, Fire War Axe, he can actually use it, but Shield Slam is kind of useless unless he uses another Thought Steal and gets the shield block.
Yeah,
that would be so funny,
Cabal
right?
Shadow Priest on the Armor Smith allows you to get some armor as well.
True. And we know that Amaz is actually able to utilize all those weird cards in the Priest deck. He casted a lot of Thought Steals in his life, so he knows how to use the cards of other classes as well. Do you double execute in here? That would be so funny.
Well, it's so tempting, but the only way you can double execute is actually to utilize another removal spell.
Well, first,
like you said, if you summon Ysera and you summon like Kael'Thuzad, gosh.
Or Cairn, or even a Sludge Butcher. The problem is you have those Armor Smiths and Unstable Ghouls in your deck. Goes for the execute.
Tempting.
Lucky draw. Oh my god,
right.
This didn't work.
Not so bad for Amaz.
So are you going for the second one? I guess.
Alright, well, it still has very good potential, but he's exhausting all his removal, and this is like the plan that
Sludge Butcher is pretty cool.
Yeah, that the Amaz wanted to kind of like exhaust out all the removal so that way his other minions can be powerful.
Well, it worked, but on the other hand, being Thijs here, you use your removal, that's true, but you remove the board, and you can get insane value out. You can get really... There was a slight chance that he will really get like double Armor Smith or like Armor Smith and a Ghoul. There was a good chance that he will get something solid, like the Sludge Butcher, and there was a slight chance that he will get something really, really amazing. So I feel like his gamble was actually justified.
Yeah, and he also has Circle of Healing combos with Akanai, which, by the way, he wants to bait and set up for the next turn as well with the hero power. So he has these combos, so he can kind of go for the board clear if it doesn't go out in his way anyways.
This is such a smart play, by the way. You play Akanai Soul Priest, and you don't play Circle of Healing. So you're giving an information like, hey, I actually don't have Circle of Healing. I'm sorry, my hand is bad. I had to play this. So instead of, you know, just you kind of like camouflage the fact that you have a second Akanai Soul Priest with the Circle of Healing, waiting for an occasion for your opponent to actually overextend. So being Thijs, what do you read here? Do you think that he is actually having a bad hand and he had to play it with no Circle of Healing? Or do you think like, hey, he's actually up to something?
Most likely up to something. I mean, Amaz is clever enough to realize that if you can't get value, then you're just going to be holding. And the way Amaz plays Priest for a while also has been very patient, right? He's willing to kind of sit on these combos a lot longer than the Priest so that he can get full value. Ooh, Cabal Shadow Priest. That gives him a small window where he can utilize Shield Slam.
Sick.
Let me change your mind.
Well, that's a cool play because you get a lot of value instead of just playing Akanai with Circle of Healing wouldn't make any sense in here. So he's playing a strong minion. He's getting one more minion out of it. He's like destroying an Armor Smith and creating an Armor Smith for himself, which is a pretty nice play. And he still has 29 points of health. So instead of just looking at the board and how much damage it can deal, it's all about the current board state and winning it.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out like a way he can kind of clear if his Sylvana drops, and it seems like all you have to do is Shield Slam and just go for the normal Circle of Healing combo.
I have no time for games.
but you might be a little bit short. Oh, wow, this Armor Smith doing work, taking up 6 damage, giving 2 armor. And Amaz can also now use Shield Slam. He also draws Wild Pyro, which allows it to do some cool combos.
Interesting. This is really interesting. He will be able to play this. But what's the best play being Amaz? He has so many cards and has so many decisions at the same time.
You can Wild Pyro and Shield Slam combination to kill off everything while trading in your Cabal Shadow Priest, and then Fiery War Axe. Or you can go for the less complicated play. Go for this Holy Nova. Makes total sense as well. You don't want to kind of give a creature unnecessarily also to Sylvanas, because if you play the Pyromancer, you risk giving him a good creature.
I think if you wanted to use Shield Slam, you should use it now. There's really a slight option that you will have some more armor. Oh, he's actually going for a heal.
Yeah, but it is also like a 1 mana. You can see it as like a whirlwind with Pyromancer.
True.
Like, Shield Slam won't actually do damage to anything, but it still acts as a 1 damage sweep. So maybe if it acts sort of like a whirlwind mechanism, Pyromancer has an opportunity. Whoa, Kael'thasar off the top, and that's going to allow Sylvanas to regenerate after suiciding.
That's a sick play.
Oh my god.
But Amaz has Shadow Word Death, so he will be able to get rid of the Kael'thasar at this spot. But still, this Kael'thasar is bringing so much value.
Still pretty awesome.
I guess you have to use Shadow Word Death on Kael'thasar and then maybe play Lothab. To force the trade.
Yeah, I guess you just gotta deal with this Sylvanas as much as possible. And like the reason why this is such a big deal is because this mid game for the priest is where it's supposed to show most of its strength. Because the late game, Thijs scales way better. Just look at some of the best cards yet to come out, the Alexstrasza and Grommash combination. He needs as much an opportunity as possible to get good value, because how is he supposed to kill the warrior? He's supposed to utilize these mid-range minions to peck away at the armor. But Maz is just playing really defensive. Harrison and Lotheb are much weaker than Alexstrasza and Grommash plus whatever legendary that Thijs draws.
That's true. He's also running out of removal. He only has the Okanai Circle of Healing. This Alexstrasza is a tough dragon to kill. Can he even kill it? Now he has a Thought Steal, so maybe he can get something.
Ragnaros. Well, maybe that's probably why he didn't need Ragnaros in his deck, because he's just gonna Thought Steal from other people.
That makes a lot of sense. That's an Amaz play, by the way.
But Amaz is dead next turn because he can't deal with this Alexstrasza. There's 18 points of damage coming in his way.
If he plays Lothab,
he has to shield block in order to survive.
That makes sense as well.
Right. Well,
now he's out of range.
Yeah, but now like Black Knight is still really threatening.
Wait, is that it? No, okay, he's
at 20 damage now.
That's so close though.
But be patient, I feel like. He just showed that he couldn't deal with Alexstrasza, so tossing out Black Knight makes sense. Even if you're afraid of Sludge Belcher, you can kind of push through. The 4/5, which is giving Priest a hard time. Thijs is still in an excellent spot.
Yeah, just get him low. Like, Alexstrasza will certainly attack this turn. You can do whatever you want. In case of mind control, you just win.
Amaz needs double Circle of Healing here. He gets Sylvanas. Can't utilize that right now.
Yeah, there's nothing he can do.
It's a Ragnaros turn, and he needs it. This is Alexstrasza. Actually, regardless of the outcome, the Cruel Taskmaster on the Grommash will end the game. So it looks like Amaz's game 1 has been cut short. And at least Ragnaros hits a decent target. But this game is over, and Thijs takes it game number 1.
It makes a lot of sense. Amaz was able to play Ragnaros, so it worked. But yeah, exceptional play from Thijs. And those Death Lords, I don't think they really worked. I'm also not very happy about mulliganing Injured Blade Master.
Yeah, you know, mulliganing Injured Blade Master is one of those cards where if you don't get the cards that synergize with it, like Circle of Healing and, you know, even Northshire Cleric, and it dies to something like Fiery War Axe, Well, it just feels like you don't get anything done whatsoever. Versus Deathlord gives Warrior a hard time unless they have executes. And in this scenario, Tice had both executes for Amaz's Deathlord, so it's just kind of one of those fringe cases where he had the exact cards he needed to remove everything.
In general, it felt like Amaz is too passive. He's just playing not to die, and so he didn't have a window of opportunity to actually like take the pace of the game and get advantage. So like Tice was advantage from the very beginning, and he just kept pummeling Amaz with a lot of minions and like damage to win the game. And right now Amaz is left with his Shaman and Paladin. He picks his Shaman, his trusty Shaman that he was able to win 3 games in a row with it the last match. And it's a pretty nice deck, by the way. It still has Harrison Jones. Amaz is playing Harrison Jones in every deck he plays. Maybe he doesn't have it in the Hunter, but we don't know because the Hunter is always banned. Other than that, Shaman is a pretty nice deck. There is a lot of removal cards, but the thing is, like, is there enough removal to be able to win versus Warrior? And depending on the cards Amaz actually gets, he might be very aggressive from the beginning and try to rush, or he might just relax and try to draw cards, taunt minions up, and just counter cards from Tice with his hexes and other removal cards.
Yeah, you know, the Warrior deck struggled a little bit. Last time we saw it versus Shaman from Amaz, Hype didn't have Brawl. He didn't have a lot of AoE clears. And even if you have Brawl in the deck, sometimes you don't draw it to the bottom. So it still gives Warrior traditionally a tough time. But maybe Tice can be able to weather the storm and be able to pull out a 2-0 lead. Let's jump into the game and find out if Tice can continue it, or will Amaz fall down 0-2 and have to rely on his third deck here in order to pull him out.
Alright, so Tice is on a coin, and he has an Armorsmith and an Acolyte of Pain. That's a pretty nice start. He also gets Sylvanas, which might be important. On the other hand, Amaz is thinking about mulliganing Rogue Biter and Flame Tongue, so he's searching for Haunted Creeper and all the small minions like Harvest Golem as well. He gets the Harvest Golem. There are no 2-drops, but he will be able to tot him up on turn 2, so it's not that bad. Also, turn 4, he gets a Squire. That's
great start.
Very nice job.
He only has one Argent Squire in the deck, I believe, so this is probably the best opening he can ask for with Harvest Golem.
If he draws it every time, why do you need 2? 1 is fine.
I guess so, right? Because late game, these Argent Squires do lose potency. I think there's also something to be said for Argent Squire versus Undertaker, especially with the nature of death rattles and how people are favoring Harvest Golem over Unbound Elemental. Just the more I play with Undertaker, the more I'm always constantly surprised by it and how it always ends up soaking up removal that people don't want to use, right? Like Wrath on a 1-mana creature is nothing you want to use, or you know, all these other cards that people end up exposing. So Argent Squire is cool, but I'm often like, man, I just wish that was an Undertaker.
I certainly agree. It's Undertaker is similar to Mana Worm. It's just a card. Like even maybe playing Undertaker, even if you don't have the Death Rattle cards, might be cool in an aggro deck because people will always try to remove it. So it's a good lightning rod to just exhaust your opponent's removal. And here Amaz is a pretty explosive start with even gets the 1/1 totem that's able to deal damage. I mean, maybe Taunt Totem will be better, but he is able to deal some damage and get rid of this board as soon as possible.
Certainly. One thing that the Argent Squire does excel at, though, compared to the Undertaker, is withstanding things like weapon attacks, and the fact that you can also get repetitive damage with high attack multiple times over, like a Cold Blood, or, well, in this case scenario, it's usually Flame Tongue Totem. Double Armorsmith can also get way out of control for the Warrior, so you kind of want to not let them maximize as much as they possible, especially if things like Sludge Belchers come up. So I do agree that taking out one of them is of utmost importance.
Yeah, that's a good play, and double Armorsmith is just so annoying to have. Imagine if you wouldn't kill Armorsmith and then Tice would play like an unstable ghoul. What happens then? You just get so much armor. Well, Amaz is double for a spirit, by the way. It's really interesting. He will be able to play those spirits in consecutive turns. And Harrison Jones makes an appearance. The weapon is down, but Tice still he has a lot of weapons in his deck. So maybe Harrison will get some value here.
You know, now that he has spell power, I mean, he thought about for a second, is it worth playing something else to kind of make sure that this Acolyte of Pain can't draw 2 cards? But I think, you know, the Spirit Wolves are a little bit too hard to pass up because of how much it boosts your board. Not to mention that having 2 is good, but you want to keep 1 for the after brawl and 1 for before brawl to kind of bait it out, and then still have a strong board afterwards.
True, true. It's pretty cool if you actually get the brawl out if you still have a Feral Spirit in your hand, because after the brawl you'll be able to Feral Spirit plus play Totem. So you're kind of back to square one with
Yeah, exactly.
all of the minions.
All right, Thijs is going to use this opportunity to attack as much as he can and fill up the board. And you might feel like Execute's a little wasteful against Shaman, but keep in mind that they thrive off these early game minion builds, or minion boards, with a lot of small annoyances. And then when things like Fire Elemental come in, you can't get through it in time. So he's taking it as a high priority to remove it, which is good play.
Yeah, it's all about the board presence and board control. It's not about dealing damage in the beginning. You just need to get rid of everything Shaman plays, and he rolls low on this engine.
Yeah, Amaz needed a high roll here to kind of trade in the Argent Squire, but now he sees Rockbiter.
Not about the board. He decides to save his minion, and he's gladly paying 3 points of health to actually kill this engine. There's still no brawl, mind you.
Still no brawl, but still not a threatening board enough to warrant a brawl at the moment.
I wonder if this is the game where Amaz will be afraid of the Phantom Brawl, or if he's going all yellow mode that actually worked for him in the first match we've seen. By the way, I like how he got the second Rockbiter with the Alak here. This is a nice burst potential for the future that he might need to finish the game.
Yeah, imagine if he had double Rockbiter and didn't need to use it. I mean, I guess you could make a case where this Argent Squire would be dead, so he wouldn't be able to trickle in damage. But still, I think having the double Rockbiter as a utility and versatility, excuse me, is still preferable. Fiery Warax able to kind of get some value, but that might give Amaz an opportunity to draw something with Harrison Jones here.
Yeah, that's a perfect moment for Harrison Jones, because if Amaz wants to play Alakir, that will be next turn. So now he can just draw a card from Harrison, and his board is getting bigger.
Ooh, not the taunt totem either. Amaz is a little unhappy with how things have been going his way this turn, or this game, excuse me.
He's kind of sad. Look at Amaz, he's like sad, looking at those totems.
Well, you know, it's when it doesn't go your way, it's a little frustrating just because. Well, okay, let's kind of back up here. Shaman is a class that is dependent a lot on its RNGs like Lightning Storm and totems. Not to mention the usual with card draws. So it's a little frustrating sometimes because the class just doesn't give it to you that way. But you know, you take the good with the bad, because sometimes Shaman gives you the exact totems that you need all the time. Like whenever I play against Shaman and I'm playing like a like a mid-range Druid deck with aggressive, it seems like they always get taunt totems no matter what I do.
By the way, we have an interesting board situation here, that Earthshock might be so good at the Acolyte of Pain, because Thijs is down to 2 cards in his hand, and we are still fighting for board presence and board control. So Amaz obviously doesn't have to play Alakir in here. He can just use Earthshock and overextend with even like with playing Feral Spirit. I think it's fine. If you play Hunted Creeper, to be able to have something which is anti-brawl. On the other hand, he will have to kill the Unstable Ghoul somehow. Maybe even use the Rockbiter, actually.
Alright, well, he rolls a Taunt Totem.
So Earthshock, the Acolyte of Pain. Then...
You want to save... I think Defender of Argus is also a viable play here.
Certainly, Defender of Argus. Then you have two points of mana, so you might actually use Rockbiter. Or not even. You don't even have to use it. Play Hunted Creeper for sure. Yeah, I like it.
How does Thijs kind of respond? Just like you mentioned, the card draw for Warrior are few and far between, because you rely on things like Acolyte to get draws, and they got nothing for you.
Kyle Tuzad looks like a great card, but not really, because Lothep, there is no way for Lothep to die, and so he won't give him any value.
Well, I mean, it's still a 6/8 minion, like a slightly stronger Bola Fist Orber, I guess. Maz has some big problems sitting in his way, but he does have ways to remove it.
Can easily clear the board with Alakir, Rockbiter. He can attack into Grommash and kill Grommash with the Defender, and then he can actually attack into Lothab as well.
This gives Thijs the opportunity to faceless his Grommash too, though. Then how much are you playing the Lightning Storm?
Yeah, not feeling it. That's why I liked Alakir play. But on the other hand, it's mostly playing to win here and using Alakir as a burst card, which is 12 points of damage.
All right, well, Thijs draws into Cairn. I think faceless on the Grommash is a little bit too hard to pass up. It shows that he didn't use Hex or anything to immediately address it. So what makes you think that he can deal with two 10/8s?
Well, one of those 10/8s will actually go through. The thing is, like, how much damage is there? If you kill both Feral Spirits, then there is 7 points of damage. That's 15. So this looks really dangerous.
Yeah. Are you afraid of Lightning Storm, though? Like, how much spell power is out? That's 4 to 5 damage each, right? Do you feel like you have to kill off an Azure Drake here?
I think you have to.
Lightning Storm's way too much. You could lose everything. Ah, that's
a good call.
Ooh, Defender of Argus still throwing up walls in the way.
And now he can't play Alakir with Rockbiter, which is a bit sad.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, you can still use Rockbiter to trade, have some minions, set up walls, so it's a little bit difficult.
Can he, like... Problem is he won't be able to play both double Grommash. If he plays Fire Elemental, then he kills one Grommash, and then with Rockbiter he won't be able to kill the second one.
I think he's okay taking a little bit of damage here. Because in the big picture, Shaman still has a very intimidating board. His opponent brawls, it gives up the opportunity for his Grommash, and also this is the burst damage from the warrior deck.
Black Knight is a blank. And Kel'Thuzad is pretty nice because he will get the...
Kel'Thuzad brings him back as a 4/9, right? So then he's going to be in full health again. Oh, gosh. That is 3 Grommashes in Thijs' deck this game.
And now you have to deal with both of them at the same time. Kill Kel'Thuzad and then kill Grommash.
Well, you can with Alakir Rockbiter. You can spread out the damage and kill everything.
And with lightning bolts. That
gives you exact ways to kill it for now, right now.
True.
That's his only course of action because Kel'Thuzad obviously is too much of a threat.
Can you ignore Grom and just go for face? I guess no. It's the 3rd Grom.
Yeah, especially because Black Knight's waiting to go, and if he reads into something like Black Knight or easy removal, he's in trouble.
I know Alakir is still alive, which is pretty important.
The threats just never end with his warrior deck. He picks up Alex Straza.
Getting only legendary cards.
Imagine that, if half your deck is legendaries, eventually you'll draw them.
Oh, a Doomhammer is pretty interesting, and he has exactly the mana to play it and play Defender of Argus.
Man.
He's taking so much damage to deal with it.
But he's taking every threat seriously. Plus, Alex Straza is in the deck anyways, which most likely will be going to the face. So Amaz realizing there's no point trying to keep your health that high. But he's out of cards, and Shaman is really difficult to bounce back from this position.
Kill Slam is a nice card as well. He will be able to kill something if he wants to. And now Amaz really needs to top deck a Hex. And then back-to-back Hex, because then Kern is coming.
Or Taunt Totems.
Spectral Knight is not a card. Yeah. And he doesn't get a Taunt Totem.
Well,
it's bad for Amaz.
He's also out of Rock Biter, so it's not like Doomhammer can burst him through the game. But at the same time, he's kind of getting out-counted by the minions. Still going to be a couple turns before he can finally get that advantage. And then brawl. Okay.
Well, you don't want to brawl right now, and I feel like you can actually go for face. The advantage is just too big. Air shock.
He needs taunt totem here.
No totem is.
Oh man.
Doesn't get it.
Is there a way for him to squeeze out of here now?
Well, he can kill Alexstrasza, so it's fine. But then Kern will just attack face. Is still alive, that's for sure. He's not dead yet. And it's a Shaman deck. So
well, any way for Thijs to get any damage from weapons will end the game. Fire War Axe or Deathbite or Ragnaros.
I guess he killed the 1-1.
Sounds good to me.
Kill the 1-1, take 50-50. Oh, he's going for his full damage. Sure.
Doesn't matter. Oh man, Ragnaros again teasing everybody constantly.
He's faceless. Oh, it's not a faceless.
You'll need a taunt totem.
And he doesn't get it again.
Yeah, Amaz has not been getting these RNG with rolls on his hero power. And now, once again, Thijs in a position just to end the game.
Do you think he actually got an argument with Ragnaros? Ragnaros was like...
There was probably a misunderstanding. Top deck Deathbite, this game is over.
That's it.
Thijs is going to start out to a 2-0 lead to this series. And Amaz is going to have to fight back in 3-0 with another deck.
Wait, what's up? What's happening? Okay. I felt like he's going to attack into the totem and getting a 50-50 again.
Nah, he's too good for that. I could go for the maximum BM then, just allow Ragnaros to finish the game.
Sick. Nice game.
Alright, well, Paladin it is for Amaz. Paladin against Warrior is pretty decent, but how is Paladin versus everything of what Thijs has?
Well, there's not much to say. The Paladin is a pretty standard build that Amaz was playing a lot. A lot of staple cards, good mid game, good end game. I think like instead of really discussing it in detail, we can actually jump into the game and see how the hands draw and how the players play.
Yeah, all right, so let's go into game 3 here, and Amaz needs to win here or else, well, his record gets tarnished, and Thijs is back in the running for even first place in the group because he can win decisively 3-0.
Aggressive mulligan from Amaz. He still gets a coin. Gets all the legendary cards. I mean, not all of them, but he gets Sylvanas and Black Knight, which is pretty cool.
I feel like Paladin is still decent against Thijs' decks. You know, the Paladin is one of the king of controls because of equality and the ability to kind of sweep the board no matter how big it is. So things like Warrior can't keep up with its hero power. Druid sometimes has a hard time establishing a big board against the Paladin as well. And then the Handlock can easily get their Giants destroyed by a lot of the tools that Paladin has to, you know, Peacekeeper and Humility and Equality and all these kinds of combos. So I feel like Amaz still has a good chance to 3-2 reverse sweep here like he did in the first series.
I certainly agree, and we've seen Paladin 3-0 before in hands of Reals. So this is definitely a deck that's also pretty stable, and if you make good decisions, if you know your matchups, you should be able to win with a clean sweep. But it's tough. You're facing ThijsNL, one of the ladder beasts from Europe and a King of the Hill master who is really studying his opponents, and he knows those matchups as well. So how is he actually going to play against it? He has Fireworks and a Slam, which is pretty good. He is able to remove that Senjin and draw a card from his Acolyte. And the control matchups are mostly about the card draw. Like, you want to get as many cards as possible to be able to overwhelm your opponent with your own removal and your own minions. If you're not drawing cards and you just run out of steam, you're dead, because they will always have answers for whatever you play.
Yep, precisely. And I think this is also a good demonstration of why the next few turns, going first past the coin is also a big deal because of the way you can kind of set up the threat first of Sludge Belchers and Black Knights, and your opponent's always responding to what you have. And then Warrior has this ability to kind of sneak in early, easy removals if he has Execute while still playing threats. And then Paladin has to kind of respond to it. But the card that we always kind of circle back to is something like Equality. No matter how intimidating a board can kind of be built up by the Warrior, there's always Equality and tokens to kind of ruin the day.
Yeah, and Equality with Wildfire Monster is such a good board clear. So yeah, being Tyson here, you have a lot of options. You can still play Sludge Vulture. You can play the Black Knight. I mean, the Black Knight is just too good. There is no point in keeping Black Knight. If you're sure that Sunwalker is coming next turn, maybe. But you just get immediate value. And your board is pretty good. You kill the token with a Sludge Vulture. So whatever happens, you have 2 strong minions, almost full health, good board, and your opponents will have to play something to get rid of your board and stabilize. Well, there is a Black Knight, but still, it's an even trade. Those poor Sludge Vultures just being slaughtered.
Well, it's an even trade, but even though they play the same cards, Thijs has a pretty noticeable advantage that he's able to kill off this minion while being able to play something on the board and continue to build it. And this is, again, where going first and getting that extra mana is pretty important.
Do you think he will follow up with Acolyte of Pain? I feel like it's yeah, it's certainly a good card. He's able to get rid of it and get some damage in. Yes, he's draw card.
Yeah, this is where something like Kodo you're a little afraid of, but you'll have some ways to draw, even if Acolyte just dies to a Kodo.
Funny how Harrison Jones is not a good card right now. It's like you play it, but they draw a card.
Yeah, he draws a card. Destroy your opponent's weapon, deal damage to every creature, and you and your opponent draw a card.
Yeah. He will be easily killed. And there is a dude! Shout out to Crip.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at this stage, he recognizes Warrior will draw a lot of cards anyway. Tyson's also counting to make sure he doesn't overdraw. But if he's going to be playing a card or two like Cairn and Armor Smith, I don't see why there would be. Also, if he's going to play Armor Smith, he should have played it before he played his... I guess if you wanted to go draw with the Acolyte. But it seems like he's going to armor up instead. Don't overextend into the board. Play really safe.
I think Thijs really has an advantage because of 2 reasons. One is, as you said, he is going first, so he's playing his threats first. And the other one is he got a lot of good value from those Acolytes of Pain, drawing, what, like 5 cards out of them in total?
At least, it feels like. And he's able to kind of fish through his deck a lot quicker and get to these legendary threats.
And right now, the Sylvanas will work and will take Bane.
Yep. And Thijs is okay with that because he's got plenty of other ways to kind of continue to back it up. He can remove it and still play his own threat like a Sludge Belcher.
What do you think about the Defralo change, by the way? That now Sylvanas is taking Bane.
Oh, it makes so much sense now. Before, it just didn't make sense. Like, why would that... It's just an exception. Like, oh, well, Death Rattle's kind of trigger, except... when Sylvanas is like in play and doesn't steal minions. I just like that it's more consistent now, so people can figure out things instead of just memorizing random rules.
Certainly it will be still helpful to actually get a rule book.
I think so too. Makes sense.
So here, Sunwalker, a pretty nice card. There's no Black Knight, so right now both players can play their cards without fear. Kel'Thuzad.
Kel'Thuzad to get 2 Sludge Belchers.
Can you easily remove the Sunwalker?
No, it doesn't look like an easy removal. But Kel'Thuzad kind of forces out Equality out of your opponents.
Kel'Thuzad and... Yeah, because like if you don't think about Equality, Kel'Thuzad and Armor Smith is such a tasty play. You have a lot of options to just win from here. But if there is an Equality Pyromancer or Equality Consecration, then you just lose the board and lose all the advantage. And you still, if there is like Equality Consecration, you don't only lose your board, your opponent's board actually stays there.
Yeah, but I think Kel'Thuzad is like, you don't expect him to live. He's just like one of those situations where if he lives, you actually win the game. It feels very similar to cards like Ragnaros, for example. So you're tossing him out, you're getting immediate value, more creatures, and you know, some armor too with Armor Smith. This is gonna prompt Amaz certainly to use something like Equality here. You need to deal with that Kel'Thuzad as fast as you can.
Well, he has to. He has to kill Kel'Thuzad this turn. There is no way, and he needs to prioritize killing Kel'Thuzad. He can't just clear the board without killing Kel'Thuzad because everything will return. And Kel'Thuzad has such a nice design as a card. A 6/8, being like, you know, before I would think like Naxxramas won't be able to bring any good big cards because we had problems with those cards like Ragnaros, that there were just too many. And now Kel'Thuzad is another 8-drop or like a high drop that's actually viable, and it's a cool card with a cool design that works in this meta game.
I think so. But now Amaz is going to be removing it. I think if he wants to go for Equality Consecration, you Equality first, attack into the Sludge Belcher, and then do it. But it seems like instead he's going to try and be as resourceful as possible. Wait, if he goes for Equality Consecration...
Equality Consecration makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think so too.
Pyromancer
Pyro Equality. Okay. So he's going to save Consecration first.
A slight reaction from Thijs. Did expect it, but it's still painful.
I guess it makes sense, granted that Pyromancer is a little bit less flexible than Consecration is. Considering that the 1 damage often does help Warrior with Armor Smiths and Acolytes and stuff.
Yeah, I think I will also use Consecration in that spot, but still, I think it's like with those card combos, Equality Consecration or Equality Pyromancer. Those are 2-card combos where Warrior is just playing 1 card at a time as a removal. Like you play 1 Brawl, and you get immediate card advantage because you destroy 2 or 3 cards from your opponent. And with Equality Pyromancer, use 2 cards, destroy 2 or 3 cards. So the advantage you get is not that big. What I mean is, like, if this game continues like this, Paladin will at some point just run out of answers, and Warrior playing thread after thread. Like, even if Thijs runs out of cards, he has so many legendary cards that he will just continue drawing into them and playing them on the board.
Yeah, yes and no, because at the same time, Paladin always has that reset button. The first Equality has been used, but you've also got ways to stall out the game, like Peacekeepers and Humility, and even Kodo. So I don't know if necessarily Amaz... I think it really does depend on how the cards line up for the last few parts of the game. Amaz has ways to kind of deal with these mid-range threats for a good amount of time with True Silver Champion. And it seems like there's really nothing Thijs can do to just present a threat other than Ragnaros. I guess Sylvanas could, but then you don't want to play on an empty board either.
Well, he still has a weapon. So he can actually play Ragnaros.
Oh, yeah, sure. Oh, and Alexstrasza comes.
Alexstrasza is not bad. Yeah, Alexstrasza is a cool card. He can attack into a 4/3, kill the 1/1, and then play one of his bigger threats. And Alexstrasza seems like a card.
Yeah, Amaz definitely needs to draw into his Peacekeepers or something in here now. It'll be a high priority for him because he can even drop Peacekeeper and Guardian of Kings.
That's why Spellbreaker, by the way, is a really tricky card. With 3 health only, it's dying to almost everything.
Yeah, that's why I saw some people, like, at first try to combine these weaker 4-drops that have a low amount of health with, like, Dark Cultist when Priest first came out. Like, we saw, like a Cult Master or Spellbreaker, like cards that have low health, but they have kind of cool impacts, and then Dark Cultist trades in, and then those creatures become 4/5s and 4/6s.
This is interesting.
But alas, it's too optimistic.
He has double Cruel Taskmaster. He can get Alexstrasza back to 5 attack if he wants to. Not enough to kill the 5/6. Maybe it's the Ragnaros turn. Attack into 1/1 and play Ragnaros.
Yeah, I think Ragnaros is a way for you to really seize the board, force out a quality number 2, and then whatever comes out afterwards is needs to be dealt with pretty honestly by the Paladin. What I don't like about Sylvanas is that you have no opportunity to really steal a minion. He can just pretty much go for trades in. Okay, a big moment once again. If Ragnaros hits the Guardian of Kings, it'll be very important. Thijs misses.
Thijs is fine as well. Because Thijs has a lot of health. He has 32 health total. So even with Equality Consecration, he will still like get 3 points of armor, and that Guardian is not that good.
That's true. Cruel Taskmaster allows him to deal with it pretty easily.
So Cruel Taskmaster and then Sylvanas with empty board is pretty nice. And Paladin should be able to struggle with Sylvanas. The best way to remove Sylvanas is with a True Silver. But right now he only has 2 cards in hand. This is what we talked about, and he has 14 points of health.
Yeah, lay on hands would be kind of what Maz needs at this point. You're right up his alley.
I have no time for games.
Right now it looks pretty good for Thijs.
Alright, Peacekeeper comes though, so they can give him some ability to stall, so that Sylvanas can't really proc immediately. It gives him some time to figure out an answer.
This is
Maybe
a moment
steal
where
some 1/1s.
a moment where you really think about you can execute your own Sylvanas.
Ha! Nah, but you can faceless it.
You can also Cruel Taskmaster it and
Oh, that's
steal
true.
the free. Like Cruel Taskmaster, then maybe faceless, attack into a free. Then your board is kind of good.
Then you know but then you lose your Cruel Taskmaster to proc Grommash, right? And there's a rage.
True.
So I think you want to save Cruel Task. As much as it's tempting to kind of go for immediate board, I think you have to still play to your win conditions. Tess only has 5 cards left, but I'm sure that there's some of the best cards. Does he play Ysera, or is that hyped?
Just give me a second, I can quickly check it.
Because he's got only a few cards left, but I feel like the density of his draws are very high. He's got both executes. I think he used both shield slams.
Yes, Kern still.
Okay. So he's got great threats here still for against the Maz.
I don't have Ysera, unfortunately, so mostly Kern. Kern is pretty nice. Also, using Faceless is kind of risky. If there is Tyrion. Well, if there is the Tyrion, you can probably try to steal it. And he has his Grommash as well. He hasn't used his Grommash, right?
Ah. Amaz is gonna use Consecration here and just try to hero power as often as you can. I like the idea of utilizing your hero power as much as possible for the same reason as using totems to kind of annoy the warrior. So it's what he needs to do. Brawl off the top is not exactly helpful. And if Amaz deals with Cairn very effectively, because he still has things like Tyrion and Lay on hands, Thijs might just run out of ways to kill him if he doesn't get something like Grommash to end the game.
Well, he's thinking about attacking into face because he will then get into a Grommash range. Next turn. Like if Sylvanas lives and Amaz doesn't heal, and there is a Grommash top deck, then Thijs just wins the game right there.
That is true. It's 1 out of 3 chances, is it now? So there's a 33% chance Thijs can just win the game next turn.
So this is funny. Attacking into Sylvanas now.
Yeah, not to mention that you know, the fact that Sylvanas might steal some damage here. Yeah, it takes the 1/1. I think Amaz could have also hero powered preemptively here.
Grommash top
so that
deck.
way there's a I think he should have hero power so that we could have preemptively given him a 1/1 higher
Grommash top
chance
deck ends the game. Oh, so disappointing. What do you think about? Do you even brawl?
If you brawl, you would execute first, wouldn't you? I don't know. I think brawl is still like your last option of removal too.
Yeah, I don't like brawl as well. It's kind of weird. And I don't want to use this master here, so I guess, yeah, attack face play, Senjin and armor up, and it should be good. Or you can... Yeah, you want to attack face to get him in range. You don't care that much about the 3-1s and a 1-1.
Yeah, you're at 32 health.
But this is tricky, because you're making an educated guess in here. You have to weigh your chances, like, what are the chances of getting Grommash as the next card? And what are the chances that Amaz will actually not play anything that will heal him, or be a Tyrion?
Yeah, Sunwalker even. Like, taunts that are really annoying, that you can't just execute and play Grommash and enrage him.
Oh,
Tyrion off the top for Amaz, that is a game changer. This late into the game, and that's a snap call. Very easy to make.
Well, there is still this brawl that will be pretty useful.
Yeah, but if Tyrion survives the brawl...
What do you think? Is he going to draw Grommash right now? Just brawl him?
I think Grommash is very likely. Shield block is not it, though. He might shield block just to draw through.
He might shield block to get like a small minion. And then stable goal if it's still there. There are two cards,
This
right?
50-50 totally stinks, by the way. You kill off Tyrion, he gets a 5/3 weapon. You kill off... Tyrion survives, you also have the worst outcome because Bane ends up coming out, so you kind of heal Cairn in a way.
The worst possible scenario. Well, you can execute...
That's true. Execute
Cairn
Brawl.
and then brawl.
What?
Oh, not
Well,
bad.
Grommash is the last card in Thijs' deck.
Well, Amaz is still in range.
This brawl is so key. If Tyrion survives, then I don't know if Thijs can actually break him reliably. He has to use something like a Cruel Taskmaster and Shield Slam.
If Tyrion dies, Thijs is in such a good shape because he will just Shield Slam the Bane token. And right now...
Oh,
Tyrion
Tyrion
survives.
survives! That is bad news for a player from Holland. Oh man, that is so bad for him. And a second taunt giver. Or sorry, not the taunt giver, but a taunter. And now the pain will start continuing. Paladin has finally outlasted Warrior.
I have to give it to Amaz. The patience. He was really patient and knew what to do. And right now, what are you even going to do? The Troll Grommash, last card.
Grommash can't wait any longer, but you know what? I think he might not have enough time. Okay, let's see how Thijs can do this. He can Shield Slam and kind of remove Tyrion.
There are two taunts. There is no way to push through with the 4 cards he has.
And even if he plays Grommash to kind of use his removal, Amaz has Peacekeeper.
Yeah.
He has to use Cruel Task and Shield Slam here, but he has to play Grommash as well. He can't do everything. It's a really passive turn. Not to mention that Amaz also gets a 5/3 weapon, so that way he can start removing as well.
That's pretty useful.
Yep. Not bad. 15 damage comes in the hand. Lay on Hands. Oh, Holy Light. I mean, it's not as good as Lay on Hands, but in this case, Lay on Hands fatigues you a little bit more. Holy Light's just as good.
Well, being Thijs, if you're staring at the 4 attack Grommash, you have no way to actually activate. That Holy Light is game over.
Yep. Because now Grommash, no matter what, will be dealt with. Warrior will be officially out of damage. The only hope that he has is if Grommash can do damage back to the Ashbringer, or he doesn't have enough damage to kill at the moment. But Peacekeeper and Kodo! Amaz has officially taken all the threats out of this Control Warrior deck, and this is kind of why the Control Paladin is the king of the late game.
There is still one execute. There is still one execute, maybe.
Just has to execute the face.
Execute face, that's the option.
I mean, at this stage, you just execute your own face and just concede. A few cards left, and I don't think he can outlast Amaz in the Fatigue War. He's already taken 2 damage. And it looks like Amaz will be able to climb back and win 1 game, sending it to game 4.
That was a sick game. Thijs got
pretty intense.
Unlucky in the end, but Amaz played it really well with the removal cards. And he's really patient with all the cards he has.
Reporting for duty.
When it's this late into the game, it's not really top decking Tyrion, it's bottom decking. If you counted for Amaz. Amaz would have loved Tyrion a lot earlier to kind of disrupt the plans, but he just barely survived and held off, and Thijs can't close the series. He will have to go to his one of his other decks, whether it's his Handlock or his Druid.
And now the situation is actually swapped because Thijs was on a roll. He was winning the games. Amaz was the loser. And right now, that loss was so painful for Thijs. He was so close. He wanted this game to end for him to win the match so that he can just release all the tension. And now he just has to keep on playing. And he just got a really painful loss, and kind of like an RNG loss from his perspective. And Amaz is back in the driver's seat. He's a winner now. And he knows this Paladin deck. He can just try to ride this Paladin for the next win. And he will be playing versus Thijs Druid, which is the ramp control Druid. And this is the matchup I really hope to see. It will be pretty interesting to see all those big minions. It's a legendary card fight. Cairn on Cairn and Sylvanas, all the faceless manipulators. So I'm really hyped to see how it will turn out. And there is a Kel'Thuzad again. One of my new favorite cards, by the way.
Yeah, it's about time. It took me a little bit of time to convince Admirable that Kel'Thuzad is a beast, but I think he's finally converted as well. I like Ramp Druid just because of how fun it is to play, but in terms of how it matches up against Paladin, I feel like it's just like a smaller version of their Control Warrior in a sense. Control Warrior can kind of outscale it late game with a lot bigger threats. Although one thing that Thijs does have is one copy of the combo, so maybe he can actually use that as an opportunity to finish the game if Paladin's just playing keep away and then he's too low of a health. Also, Innervate allows Druid to be playing a little unfair sometimes. You can put out a big threat early on and then just completely take over the game, like take Terraform Care or something like that.
One of the most unfair cards is Ancient of Lore, I think. Because if you're going into a top decking game, then Druid usually plays Ancient of Lore, and it's not only a big threat, but also he refills his hand.
Also true. It's going to be really important for Paladin to get ahead of Druid in the hero power war. So let's see if Amaz can kind of stabilize once again in game 4, or will Thijs close it out and get a much needed win to stay relevant in this group. Harrison Jones, by the way, is still been kind of like a hit or miss. It seems like everybody's kind of recognizing the power of Harrison Jones and adapting to it. And there's not many moments that we've seen from Amaz's point of view that Harrison Jones has been a big MVP, compared to something like 6/3 where it was non-stop Harrison Jones the entire series.
What do you think about double Innervate in coin? It looks pretty sick. If he gets a 4-drop. He didn't get a Wild Growth though, like Thijs didn't get a Wild Growth, which is pretty important. Wild Growth is so important in this matchup. And Amaz actually has a pretty good hand with the curve, with Tyrion.
Yeah, he has an opportunity to play turn 2 Ancient of Lore.
Do you do it?
But then your turn 3 seems pretty weak. I feel like you can save coin.
Oh, it still is your cards.
All right, go for
Going
it.
for it. Okay, this is a sick play. Because being Paladin.
But then if he like peacekeepers you, because he most likely has it, then what did you accomplish? You're still doing nothing for the next couple of turns.
Yeah, personally, I didn't like this play, and Striker would say that it was a bad play as well. Because Innervate is really helpful to just fix your curve, being a Druid. Well, Druid is a really honest deck. You just play the cards on curve mostly.
It's an honest deck, and it just played Ancient of Lore on turn 2.
Okay, that was kind of like a cheat, but other than that, you have mostly cards for the mana cost. It's like turn 4 you play Yeti, turn 5 you play Druid and stuff. And Innervate, if you get a bad hand, is able to help you with your curve. And now he doesn't have the Innervate, so he's turn 4 will be pretty clunky, and turn 5, well, on turn 5 he starts being in the game again, but this Ancient of Lore was kind of weird. And we know that there are no Innervates now in his deck, so no more shenanigans.
And he's also passing turns 4. Like, this is a little bit unfortunate for Thijs, as he's not able to smooth out the curve like you said. Let's say if he held his turn 2, turn 3 he could still do the same thing, and then turn 4 if he had a 5-drop, which he did pick it up, he could have coined it out, and then would have been able to use Faceless or whatever he picks up to kind of continue to press advantage. He drops BGH, which makes sense. There's not many targets that have above 7 or above 6 attack rather. In fact, I can't think of one.
In mostly all of the cards from Paladin, he knows that Paladin, this version is definitely not the giant version, so VGH is a card that was able to deal 2 points of damage, so it's something, instead of just hero powering on turn 4, that wasn't a bad card to play.
Where shall I start?
Alright, makes sense to me. Amaz doesn't have Black Knight, but he has Sylvanas, and he has Cairn. 2 very powerful cards that have seen a lot more play in the recent meta, which was cool. Because a couple of months ago when Miracle and Token Druid were ruling it, people said Cairn and Sylvanas were too slow to play, but because Death Rattles have been introduced in the meta, they're great cards again.
I feel like Sludge Belcher is the culprit here. Like, Sludge Belcher is the card that really makes the meta game slow, because drop it on turn 4 with the coin, or turn 5. And this guy, and also Unstable Ghoul, is like, when you're playing aggro, there are so many taunts you have to face. So with the Sludge Belcher being almost in every deck right now, you can play cards like Sylvanas and Cairn. They fit the curve perfectly after the Sludge Belcher. There is a Black
totally
Knight.
agree with that.
Let none survive.
Alright, well, Sylvanas starting to do work. And now it's basically Sylvanas is a board clear in a sense, because now Thijs feels like he has to kind of suicide it, unless he draws Keeper of the Grove. Nope.
Well, so he will have to attack with a 4-5 into a 5-1, and then he can play Ancient of War, or he can copy Cairn if he wants to.
What to do?
That's also a viable option.
You know your opponent kind of runs one Spellbreaker, so you're a little bit mindful of that. And also, you know your opponent runs Black Knight, so I would feel a little uncomfortable just dropping Ancient of War. I feel like something more neutral is Faceless on the Cairn, so that way you're not getting blown out. Sylvanas also makes sense too, considering that you can take Bane if your opponent gets a little too frisky.
I have no
But this is
time.
where Amaz is allowed to kind of use the silence.
And this is a great target for the silence. You can even play Aldor Peacekeeper, like silence Aldor and push with damage, and then you have a full board. And the thing about Druid is that there's not much AoE removal. Like, there is a swipe, but swipe is kind of like single target. There's nothing like equality or brawl. So if you build a really big board, it will be super hard for Druid to actually remove it.
Yeah, no one's playing Poison Seeds, so it's really hard and difficult to go for mass removal for Druid, that's for sure.
Well, but even with Poison Seeds, if you I always feel when I'm playing versus Druid, I can overextend. If I have an opportunity, I can overextend, because even if there is a Poison Seeds,
What to do?
I will get so many two tokens that it still doesn't matter. And you're playing the Feral minions, so if you have, for example, like 5 minions on the board, they do Poison Seeds, and you get 5 2/2 tokens and a Bane token, it's like, hey, my board is so great. What's up? Just continue pushing here, being Amaz. Just continue building the board, removing what your opponent is playing, and overextending as well. I think like Tyrion next turn is also a valid play with Humility into something.
Yep, Thijs is going to try to recover the board a little bit with his own Cairn off the Faceless Manipulator. But I think, Maz can continue to build it just like you mentioned and make it really difficult. Tyrion is also a huge heavy lifter, because you realize that your opponent probably want to silence something like Cairn as well. Unless you're afraid of Black Knight, but even then you're still getting the 5-attack weapon.
Thijs, by the way, recognizes problem here with too many minions, so he's using that Savage Roar to be able to clear a bit, like getting rid of the Cairn, facing Bane. So right now, being Amaz, you can just drop Tyrion, YOLO, and Humility, and go for phase with everything.
I like it. Yeah, there's 11 damage. you're gonna be putting him at 10. You're representing lethal with what he has, and if he doesn't have, even if he Black Knights you, you still have 15 damage in a weapon. He has to have. You can't even Black Knight and Harrison Jones in the same turn.
Thijs is angry, by the way. Have you seen that? He slammed the table.
He is not happy. Salty NL.
He was so close to winning, and this game is lost to him. And then we'll go to match point, and maybe his last deck is actually not good versus his Paladin.
Yeah, you know, Kill the Zod would love to come on a board like this if he had full health or anywhere close to it, because then he can get all of these things back. But it's introducing a big problem of, well, what do I do to survive?
Well, what options do you have?
Well, Lotheb and Sludge Belcher or Ancient of War. It's one or the other. Otherwise, he's just going to die to the straight-up damage that's being presented here.
Sludge Belcher and Swipe doesn't actually work.
The eyes of earth are upon us.
Sludge Belcher, I want to say, also doesn't matter because of the double consecrations. Oh,
Yeah,
just
obviously,
kidding. The
but-
Lotheb actually denies that play. Ah, he's going to go for Swipe instead.
Well, he didn't have mana for Lotheb. He had mana
Oh, he's
only
at
for
9
one of
mana,
them.
you're right. I was miscounting.
Well, this is it. This is
Yep, that
exact-
should be 10 if
exactly
you just
so.
push through the Black Knight. Absolutely. Amaz is going to tie up the series once again, the comeback king. Amaz is able to tie it up and send it into overtime and see who's going to be able to advance. You know, if Amaz wins this, he's going to be firmly favored to be in first place in the group unless Hype is able to sweep the series against Hybara.
This is experience talking, by the way, for Amaz. He played in so many tournaments. He had so many comebacks. A lot of players, when they are 0-2 in a best of 5 series, they play much worse the next match and the next game because they feel like, hey, I lost this. I'm 0-2. I'm like eliminated. I lose one more and I'm out. So instead of just grabbing the chance to win, they you know, just play cards fast. They don't think about stuff. They make rush decisions. And Amaz, he lost 2 games and he's doing his best. Like, he's not making any mistakes. He's playing the A game and I love it. And he's really doing well with this Paladin. And right now he got himself to a match point, which is even more important because Thijs is facing elimination and Amaz is just on a roll with 2 straight wins. So what is Thijs left with? It's a handlock. What do you think about this matchup?
It's hard for Handlock sometimes because of how many answers that Paladin has to the Giants. Even Twilight Drakes. Even the fact that Spellbreaker kind of exists, and you can Spellbreaker as Twilight Drake and then use a token to trade in. So it seems like you've got lots of answers from the Peacekeeper Humility and the Equalities.
Yeah, so right now Amaz has an advantage in this particular matchup. So maybe let's jump into the game and see how the mulligan will unfold for both players.
Sounds good to me. The winner, like if Amaz wins this again, most likely going to be advancing first place in this group, or at least guaranteeing top 2. Thijs would be out unless his opponents also falter and get similar records. Opening hand for Amaz.
It's okay.
I think he wants
like
to kind of hold on to. You want to hold on to Harrison Jones?
Harrison Jones, do you really need it? Like, you're playing versus Handlock, so you can mulligan it.
No way.
Senjin and Sludge Belcher are pretty cool. Depends, like, what do you really want to have? What? Is he mulliganing everything? What is he searching for? Is he searching for equality, maybe? To be able to remove, like, Aldor Peacekeeper? Oh,
Yep.
yeah, definitely. Those are the cards you need.
Peacekeeper, even Spellbreaker would be nice, really, so that way you can answer a quick Twilight Drake.
Yeah, and the Mountain Giants as well. You need the answers for those cards. And being ThijsNL, you didn't get Mountain Giant, you didn't get a Twilight Drake. You will be live tapping, but still, it's nice to have gets Twilight Drake, which is cool for him.
That's one way to kind of start imposing. He needs to have these threats lined up, and he is going first, which is nice for the Handlock, so that way you can play your threats early.
I actually like going second as a Handlock. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I like playing the Farseer on turn 3 and then being able to play Mountain Giant on 4. And well, it's because I'm mostly getting Mountain Giant, but and I still have a coin for turn 5 to play like a Sam Walker or Sylvanas on turn 5 with a coin.
All right. Well, to each his own.
But I totally understand going first as well. Like a lot of players actually prefer going first with Handlock. And it looks nice for Amaz.
It looks nice, but I'm just looking at the hand quality of Thijs, and it seems like he's got a lot of good tools to kind of continue to combat. As much as it stinks to have your Twilight Drake Peacekeeper, it's still going to be able to clean up the hero power, so you don't have to worry about it swarming you. And you still got things like Shadow Flame to kind of boot the board in case it gets too messy.
I just love the addition of Sludge Belcher to Handlock. It fits the curve so well. Like before I was running Sunwalker with Coin so that it fits the turn 5. But right now Sludge Belcher is just such a perfect card on curve and just stalling, giving you more time to draw cards and preventing life loss because it's just 2 taunts, so they will have to destroy them at some point. And it's just stalling the game. But on the other hand, with a control v-control matchup, how does it unfold? Is what are you going to do here?
You know, it's kind of hard to... You're kind of evaluating, by the way, what taunts he has. Is there a better target to Black Knight? You know, usually Black Knighting the 3/5 is great, but at the same time, Sludge Belcher has more than just that 5 health. Whatever the attack absorbs by the little sludge also continues to kind of compound it. So if you save something Black Knight for like Sunwalker, which you haven't seen, get better value, but I think the 4 or 5 body is hard to replace at the moment.
Yeah, Black Knight is just too good. When you can play it, just play it. Especially because, well, the 3/5 might not look that good, but still, you just denied 5 points of mana from your opponent. You just destroyed 5 points of mana he played, and you still get the 4/5. It's just too good to ignore, and there's no point in waiting with keeping Black Knight for something like Tyrion or... well, Sunwalker is not being played. Well, there is actually a Sunwalker, but still, I would not expect Sunwalker just after Sludge Belcher. Okay, and here he has the combo, by the way. He has Leroy, he has Power Overwhelming. Wow. Obviously he won't be playing this the combo this turn, but the combo is there and it's dangerous. It's actually 24 points of damage. So if he's able, oh my god, this is now
he's got 28
points of damage.
Kind of crazy.
This is really crazy because right now he kind of has lethal if he stalls the game 3 more turns and gets rid of like all the taunt cards that Amaz is going to play.
I like how slow Thijs is also thinking about everything, making sure to take his time and mull over the possibilities. I think he's also kind of wondering if maybe he should have taken out the Black Knight, the Aldor Peacekeeper with the Black Knight and kill off the token, so that way it's a little bit of a harder trade with True Silver Champion.
I want to see that Leroy combo.
Either way, I think either way everything is dying on the board. Black Knight's not surviving.
Even has the Shadow Flame. I think he will be forced to use a Shadow Flame and Power Overwhelming. Right now it seems like... Oh, Farseer. Farseer is pretty nice. You can Shadow Flame the 4/5 here. Or maybe just even... Siphon Soul the 3/5. There are so many options.
Siphon Souling is pretty short-sighted, because you still don't even have the combo next turn. If he plays a big taunt, you're still back at square one. Sun Fury kind of improves it.
Playing a giant is also good.
Yeah.
But then you can't still fire. The other play would be to just Shadow Flame the 4/5 and finish Senjin with an attack. But on the other hand, if the giant stays, you should be able to clear the board next turn to set up yourself for a kill on turn 10.
Again, the problem of like you don't want to use these cards unnecessarily. Plus, what kind of information does it sell? It's like, oh, I'm gonna Shadow Flame your Senjin. It's like, well, you're spending a lot of removal, so clearly you probably have a way to kill me the next couple turns.
Yeah. Also, what Thijs really wants to do is he wants to deal at least 1 more damage so that he has a certain kill with 24 points of damage instead of just having a possibility of discarding second Soulfire with the first Soulfire and then losing.
That's right. Now Siphon Soul really might come into play here and actually be really difficult for Amaz to deal with because now there's a giant and there's Siphon Soul, so he has to clear the board and he has to kind of heal up, which I feel like he can't accomplish everything. He can taunt up though. He has enough for Equality, Consecration, and I think Coin Senjin. That's going to be his best move because I feel like Tice is going to set up an opportunity to Siphon Soul and then put his opponent at 24 health.
It's an option for Tice. He can also use Power Overwhelming and do we even use Power Overwhelming
Nah,
here?
I feel
I'm
like
still thinking of Shadow
you
Flame.
set up for the win the next turn.
Yeah, just a good.
I
So Siphon
think
Soul into a 4/5, then attack into a 3/5 with the Molten Giant, attack for 1, and play Farseer to heal yourself.
yeah,
because
Farseer and heal up the giant, or you can even put Sun Fury Protector if you don't want to overextend, or Farseer on yourself if you feel like there's burst potential. Okay. Well, Defender of Argus and Pisces is going to keep Siphon Solar because he won't have the mana to do it.
Well, you know, he might not be thinking about, by the way. Oh, this is nice as well. Yeah, Shadow Flame was pretty cool.
There you go.
Now it's like 17.
Also a really good play too because it's going to bait out the same thing, Equality and Consecration. But now you have double Soulfire as a way to remove. And Tice can win this game right here if this double Soulfire is able to kind of get through this Senjin. Is he willing to risk it? Ooh, it's a little bit of a gamble, Nimsh. Oh wait, Hellfire.
So are you going to take a gamble? I think you actually can, because how much damage are you going to deal? This is 20. So
yeah.
But wait, can you actually like?
You can do two ways. You can do Leroy, Power Overwhelming, Faceless, and then Soulfires, or you can do Hellfires with Leroy, Power Overwhelming, Soulfire. But either way, you're still at risk discarding the other Soulfire.
True.
So no matter what, it's going to come down to...
But the odds are pretty
He's got
good.
8 cards, about 1 in 5 chance here to discard Soulfire.
If he actually discards the Soulfire, Tice will be the unluckiest player in this tournament. But he's going for it. Going for the
1 in 5 chance. Ah!
And
No, he discards the Siphon
makes
Soul.
it.
Tice fist pumps, and he's gonna win this series and close it out. And Amaz almost came back once again, down 0-2. Almost come back with the rally, but Tice will win this series, and he's alive in the tournament. And guess what, Nipsh? We have a 3-way tie right now for first place.
terrible, terrible damage from ThijsNL. I totally approve of it. Where I'm sad for Amaz, I really like the explosion that the Handlock can actually apply here with double Leroy and Soulfire. And he took his risk, and it paid off. And we now have this 3-way tie. So, are you hyped about Haibara, by the way? Haibara, an unknown player. I guess we can talk about him a bit, or maybe we can actually introduce him after the break. So definitely, guys, stay tuned for Haibara. I will talk about him a bit. An interesting player, and an unknown factor. Is he going to flip this table with a 3-way tie and win 3-0?
Yep, Haibara is the mysterious figure right now. Is he good enough to kind of disrupt the group, or is he going to allow everybody to kind of walk over him, which I don't think it is. But either way, he is this guy's determining factor on how everything pans out, because we have a 3-way tie for first place. We're going to take a quick break. It's going to be about 15 minutes before our next series, so go ahead and wash up, take a shower even. I highly recommend that to most people. And you can get ready for our next series. But before we do that, we want to remind you about an opportunity to win a PC. If you go to vgvn.onenationsofgamers.com or the bottom of the Twitch channel, you can find out more information all about who the sponsor is for this event. They're an organization that fights against harmful legislation that unfairly portrays media or video games in the media, that unfairly blames them for all kinds of stuff. Make sure to check out all the cool details while we get ready for our next series, which looks like it's going to be Tice versus Haibara. Will Tice be one of the first players through to the group, or will Haibara have something to say about it? Find out
Also,
after this.
Also, if you actually missed the games yesterday, just type I think YouTube. The comment is exclamation mark YouTube, and then you will get a link for the VODs from yesterday's tournament. Today, after the tournament, the VODs will also be released. So if you want to just just get one of those moments that we've seen during all the tournaments, it's cool to go back and watch them. Right now we have 15 minutes, so if you want to see any specific moment, you can go to the YouTube and the YouTube channel and check those.